Today on the Pro Life Podcast, Seth Gruber is joining us. He's going to tell us how we got in this mess and what we're going to do about it. We need to talk about this. Let's get started. Happy Thursday, Pro Life family. Welcome to the table. Grab your coffee, pull up a chair. We are not in our usual space today. We are at the Omni Hotel getting ready for the 28th Annual Life Gala. Yes, the show is on the road today because I'm joined by Dr. John Seago and our very special guest, the man, the myth, the legend, Seth Gruber. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I didn't know you were a doctor. I didn't realize.
Yeah. Doctor in bioethics. We're here to have our gala. You're our keynote speaker tonight. And we're excited. I was telling you earlier, when we invited you and I started telling people, like, Seth's going to be our guy, a couple of friends, like, took me off to the side. And they were like, have you heard Seth before? And I'm like, yeah. He's a bit of a firebrand. And I was like, exactly. That's what we need right now. So thank you for coming. Thanks for bringing the message. I know you've been busy, and so we're looking forward to it. So how are you feeling in the moment? Where are we right now? Just overall, are you what is the sense of urgency you're feeling at the moment?
Well, Texas has always been pretty key in all the culture wars.
Yeah.
Particularly the slaughter of the unborn.
Right now.
But especially, post Charlie's martyrdom, it's more significant.
Yeah.
You can sense something sort of changed
Mm-hmm.
in the spiritual realm, almost.
Yeah.
We were there on Sunday in person. I don't know when you're releasing this, but we were there for the memorial. And it's over 200,000 people in person or standing outside or at the stadium for hockey across the street for overflow live stream.
Oh, my gosh.
So larger than MLK Jr.'s memorial or JFK's memorial.
Yeah.
And now revival seems to be breaking out across America.
Yeah.
And we could go into all that if you wanted. It's all kind of connected to the same fight we're all in. But Charlie was sort of an indictment against the evangelical 20th and 21st century discipleship cultural engagement model, which said, don't do politics, don't do hot topic social issues.
Yeah.
America's so divided. Jesus calls all men to himself. So don't get like too left or right. Jesus is neither left nor right. Well, that's true in a sense, but he's the king, so he's pretty like political actually. His preferred form of government is a monarchy.
Right.
So Christian nationalism, I guess. And this model is what the boomers got, Gen X got, millennials got, that we've been being fed this for ages, for decades, that what is winsome and what is wise and what is innocent and what is effective is to just focus on elevating and lifting up the name of Jesus. And then as people get saved and they're discipled in a home group, if you even do that at your church, then, they'll come to hold all the right positions. But of course that hasn't happened. Or they'll come to live upright and holy lives. But of course that hasn't happened. Christian men are about as indulgent and addicted to pornography as any pagan is. The divorce rate is barely better amongst Christians than in the pagan world.
Right.
In fact, the number of people who attend church on a weekly basis and get abortions, it's like over 30% of the abortion rate are coming from Protestant or Catholics who say they attend church on a regular basis.
Right.
So we're slaying our children in our churches. And so what we were told by our evangelical betters, and that could be Joel Osteen, Rick Warren, Tim Keller, Christianity Today, the Gospel Coalition, David Frenchy French. I mean, we could go back all the way to the fundamentalist modernist split of the early 20th century when J. Gresham Machen wrote Christianity and Liberalism in 1923 to address the rift that was already happening as he watched the fundamentalists just cling to the orthodox truths of the gospel against rising waves of heresy. And that's where you get just preach the gospel. That's really where it came from, was way back then. And so we could really trace it back to, well, here we are, 2025. So 102 years ago is when he writes Christianity and Liberalism. Everyone should go read J. Gresham Machen. But it was already starting to happen. So that was the model we were sold. Just do Jesus. Okay. And then people will they'll get discipled and they'll come to hold the right beliefs. That has not happened. Okay.
Yeah.
That actually, like, you actually have to proclaim those truths and disciple your people from the pulpits.
Right.
It has to come from the shepherds.
Yeah.
So Charlie did the opposite of what we were told to do.
Yeah.
The total opposite. He ran in the direction you were told not to go as a Christian evangelist, apologist for Jesus. He went to politics and he went to hot topic cultural issues.
Right.
So I could talk about it for a long time, but here's the takeaway.
Yeah.
What happened because he did that? His life and death led to the largest evangelistic gospel proclamation to the largest audience in human history, bar none. They tracked 100 million unique views to the memorial, where every single person's preaching a white-hot gospel, including Hindu Tulsi Gabbard, lifting up the name of Jesus. I'm like, what is happening right now? The vice president, whose wife worships little, like, Buddha demons. I'm pretty sure Vance's wife is like a Buddhist. Like, and he's saying, I've never talked about Jesus Christ more in my entire life than in the last 2 weeks.
Right.
Okay. Whole football teams are getting baptized and saved right now on college campuses because of Charlie. And every pastor I know, church has been packed, every service packed, foyer and parking lot packed.
Wow.
So what's the lesson? This should have always been our job. Shame on us that it took the assassination and martyrdom of a 31-year-old hero, Charlie, to bring about the sort of revival and hunger for eternal things, for eternal truths that should have been coming from the pulpits for the last 120 years.
Amen.
And nowhere is that fight more clear than the murder of babies in the name of radical feminism, which the church has allowed. It's happened on our watch because we cared more about our 501c3 statuses, the idol of manna, and attaboys from the culture than from pure and undefiled religion. That's why I'm here. That's the urgency I sense.
That's awesome.
That's why I believe there's been a change in the spiritual realm. And demons work through politics, through the family, through any avenue that they can to corrupt people. And you and I are fighting in that cultural, political space. Hold back the tides of darkness. I want more Christians in
Give us
space.
what does the alternative look like? So if our churches, if our Christians, out in the public, square, if they are not falling for, this fallacy you're talking about for the last, decades in evangelical circles, what is the alternative? Who, like, we know Charlie, like, we're seeing him now. If you didn't know about Charlie, you know about him now. Now you see his videos. Now you see how he engaged the culture. What for you is the positive model of what states like Texas, what organizations, Christians need to be doing right now?
I mean, isn't it so much like Jesus to use what the religious elite deem to be the foolish things of the world to shame them?
Wow.
Isn't that so in line with the Gospels, with the upside down kingdom, with the Beatitudes, with the whole New Testament, right? It is like cultural and spiritual reformation and revival historically have always happened outside the four walls of the evangelical institutional managerialist class. It's always been moms and dads, brothers and sisters, uncles and aunts, cousins, normal people who love Jesus, who are willing to lay it all on the line and be used. It's almost never come from the Gospel Coalition, Christianity Today, this big, sexy, cool, hip Christian conference. The MDivs and the theologically trained. It's usually been the lay people. It's been families. Boldly serving and lay it on the line. And I just think in God's humor, Charlie, that most pastors want nothing to do with, used what the religiously elite and credentialed leaders deemed to be foolish to shame them
Yeah.
and bring revival without them. And so what is the alternative? What are we seeing? I think that this is the time to honor people like you, people like Texas Right to Life, organizations that were already tilling the soil for years faithfully, with very little recognition or honor, by the way, from the local churches. Right? We know how much pro-life organizations or culture warrior organizations struggle to get the kind of funding and platforming and support of local churches. And you're laughing because you know how true it is. And I grew up in this movement as well. I think it's time to show honor to those people. And it's time to join them in the work that they've already been doing. And so I'm seeing a hunger from normal people who just love Jesus, who are probably smarter because they didn't go to seminary, by the way, right? Who are like, wow, look what Jesus is doing. I want to be a part of that. And Jesus is bringing revival because Charlie talked about all the issues that the pastors won't.
Yeah.
And it brought interest and hunger for eternal things.
Yeah.
And now these people are laying down their lives, repenting, following Christ, because Charlie did the opposite of what the church was told.
Right.
So we need to look around us as lay Christians and say, so who is doing that in my sphere?
Excellent.
Who's doing that in my city? Who was already being a little Charlie before revival broke out? Let's honor those people and let's go fight with them.
Awesome.
And everything's local now.
That's great.
And that's why groups like Texas Right to Life are so important.
That's fantastic.
And he paid me to say that, by the way. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So no, it's important, right? The local fight is always important.
Absolutely.
Yes. Seth, you having a national perspective of this issue, a good historical perspective of this issue. I mean, I'm getting into this book. I'm like, yeah, man, you're laying it out from the get-go. Our viewers are probably largely in Texas. If you're not, hey, comment, say hi. So we tend to feel like maybe it's not that bad out there because Texas, our laws are leading the nation at this point, but there's still things we want to achieve, and that's sometimes going to be a hard sell because obviously our issue has seen a lot of apathy. I'm hoping the Charlie effect will get some people to stand up and take a stand and maybe put their reputation on the line here and there. I don't get to go any place now and say, yeah, I'm not that guy who's on YouTube saying salty things about abortion. From a national perspective, how is it in other states? You're a California guy. How's things over there?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it was always going to lead to this. It was always going to lead to civil war. The civil war we're living in right now is just a little bit more ideological.
Yeah.
And a little bit more political.
Okay.
But if we don't figure this out in the next couple decades, it will lead to civil war, like physically. And people don't really like to talk about that. And no one really likes what I'm saying right now. But like the temperature can only get so hot before it's bloodshed. I mean, the Bible says that bloodshed follows bloodshed. Okay, so a nation that slaughters its own children flushes 630,000 babies down the toilet every 12 months. So much so that now people are like, oh, we have aborted baby stuff in our water. Yeah. That can't go on in perpetuity without bubbling over into division of a bloodier sort. So this is going to happen unless the church wakes up and we begin to fight those righteous battles unflinchingly and unwaveringly at the state level. So, of course, it probably goes without saying, everyone probably knows this, but you've got California, Washington, Oregon, Virginia, DC, Maine, all of these lib states where New York, where abortion's legal through point of birth and it's codified into the state constitution.
Yeah.
And we had some states fall last year that we didn't think would fall, huh?
Right.
Very disappointing. And now they're coming for Arkansas and Idaho.
Yeah.
States that you would think there's no way the leftist agenda could infiltrate and be successful there.
Right.
And it absolutely can.
Yeah.
It totally can. I actually think we need to give God a reason to show America mercy. I don't think we can just continue to just pray for revival, pray that God will move, but do nothing. Well, fight on your knees first. Yeah, and then most people never get up and fight on their feet and won't go do the hard work that the groups like me and groups like Texas Right to Life are actually doing.
Yeah.
And so, of course, the battle is a state battle now, and we have to make sure, especially in this next session and elections, that states like Arkansas and Idaho don't fall.
Yeah.
Because if they do, I mean, God, we barely stopped the radical Florida abortion amendment last year.
Yeah.
Barely. And that was probably mostly due to DeSantis's bold leadership on that topic. It's like all or nothing now. If some of those red states codify abortion,
like 60%.
that is not a good bellwether for what the abortion fight looks like in the next 2 decades.
Right. Where do you see, so you named a couple of them, where do you see battlegrounds that even, people in Texas, we set an example for others, but we also help others and encourage others. So where do you see some battlegrounds in the next year?
Yeah, some of the states I just mentioned.
Okay,
so I mean, Missouri,
Okay.
that governor didn't even step up at all, dude. And they codified it, but then it got like thrown out on a technicality. They're coming for Arkansas. They're coming for Idaho. The leftists with Arabella money is going to come big at Florida.
Okay.
Again.
Mhm.
They're not going to just take it laying down. They're going to pour way more money into Florida to codify abortion into the state constitution. And so, I mean, I don't really see it going in North or South Dakota, but like they're funding it there too.
Right.
They're still like they're so well funded, the left, in all of their state level attempts. And then you look at your churches and most of the pulpits are silent.
Yeah.
When in those states you have quite a large percentage of your population that goes to church at least on a monthly basis.
Right.
And most pastors won't even join the fight. They won't even mention what's going on at their state level. It's almost like Gnostic, actually. It's like all that matters is the spiritual. Who cares what happens in the physical, literal world that we're living in, as long as you say the sinner's prayer. It's like, no, actually, like Christianity is a holistic message. The resurrection means that Christ cares about the physical world. He rises physically.
Right.
So we should care about the physical world as well.
Absolutely.
And we should promote righteousness, and we should safeguard the young and the innocent and the poor and the families. And until the church gets back to its historic origins, and that's a lot about what my next film is about, I don't know if we're going to be turning this thing around anytime soon. But the hope is, right, for hope now, is there is revival breaking out across America, and it's largely happening outside the walls of the church. This is a time for church leadership and pastors to look themselves in the mirror and kind of take a little pulse on themselves. Why was I not a part of this?
Yeah.
Why is Jesus bringing revival without me, without my church? And how can I join this fight?
Amen.
All right, I want to take a quick break. We have some announcements for you guys at home, and then we will talk this abortion pills thing that you made a comment a minute ago that I think was jarring, and history, how far back this goes. So we're going to talk about that after this break. Do you have a cell phone? Do you have pro-life values? Do you like saving money? Well, Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider, and they've partnered with Texas Right to Life. So if you'll go to patriotmobile.com/Texas Right to Life or call 972-PATRIOT, 972-PATRIOT, and use the checkout code TRTL, they'll give you a free month of service. So make the switch today, have your money support causes you believe in, and save and get a whole free month. Make the switch right now. What are you doing still watching this? Make the switch right now.
Want to support a cause you love and look great doing it? Visit the Texas Right to Life online store. You'll find t-shirts, hats, mugs, bags, everything you need to rep the pro-life movement wherever you go. Plus, you'll get free shipping on every order. Listeners like you, yes, you, can get 15% off when you use code PODCAST at checkout. Visit store.texasrighttolife.com today to shop with purpose and make a difference.
Welcome back, friends. We are talking with our friend Seth Gruber. Thank you again for being here and doing this. Love it to have you here. Sold out crowd tonight. So if you were here, thanks for being here. If you weren't, well, you should have bought your tickets sooner. Just saying. Sold out.
Next year.
Yes, we'll do this again. We do this every year. This is the 28th annual. So 29th annual, you can still get tickets. Okay. So you made a comment a few minutes ago that we are flushing 630,000 children down the drain.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
that is
that's
a
where we're
jarring
at. That's where
statistic.
we're at now. That was from the Guttmacher Institute, which is Planned Parenthood's statistical research branch.
So that's not a pro-life
So
stat.
that's not a pro-life
That's
stat. Yeah.
their stat.
And they reported in 2024 about 2023 that over 1 million abortions had occurred. And it's always higher than that because it's almost impossible to track the number of abortions that are happening because of the RU486 abortion pill,
Mhm.
principally. And so that's Planned Parenthood's research branch. Over 1 million babies were killed in the year directly following the overturning of Roe versus Wade, which sort of should tell us a little bit something about where we're at. We hadn't seen numbers of that many babies being killed since
more money
in
more
about a decade. Yeah. But it just showed the response of how bloodthirsty and demonic this agenda really is. And in that same report or study, they also reported that about 63% of the nation's abortions that year were the abortion pill. So over 1 million babies, 63%, that's easy math.
Yeah.
So 630,000 children were flushed down the American sewage system, down toilets at dorms in colleges
Right.
and at private homes.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's actually what's happening. That's not hyperbolic. That's what the instructions say. We've spoken to women who have gone through this. Many of them have shared their stories.
Yeah.
You're actually instructed to sit on the toilet, don't look, and flush.
Yeah.
The abortion pill, RU486, is technically only allowed through 10 weeks.
Right.
Mhm.
But a few years ago, it was 8 weeks. So a lot of people forgot that. Like they just added it 2 weeks more. There's a push from the abortion industry right now to move it to 12 weeks.
Right.
Which would be the entire first trimester. And so anyways, it's very dangerous. One, because it's actually dangerous to be killed. I know that's a shocker for people. So killing babies is not safe for the baby.
Definitely not.
So I never like talking about abortion as like wrong because it harms mothers. I don't like that language.
Okay.
It's not wrong because it harms mothers, you idiots. It's wrong because it kills human beings.
Right.
But when you try to kill your baby, shocker, it's not good for your health. And so I did a very long show with my friend Alex Clark at Culture Apothecary,
Okay.
who's been very dear friends with Charlie Bennett Turning Point for a long time.
We
People
just heard her the other day at the Texas Youth Summit.
Oh yes, I spoke right before her actually. Give her a hug and wished her luck right before she went up, but because we were all pretty emotional. But anyways, we got attacked by Yahoo News, and we might be threatening a lawsuit. But they said all of this is wrong. Everything Seth said is a lie, and we have all the
Abortion pills?
about abortion's impact on women's health.
Oh.
So I'm willing to talk about all that. People can go check out the episode, but I never lead with that because that's not why abortion's wrong.
Right.
But yes, after it murders a baby, it's not super great for your health, Mom. And so the abortion pill also is like really screwing up women, and no one tells them that either.
Right.
Yep.
So that's what we're dealing with. That's the push now. And of course, it's the white knight. It's the sacred cow of the abortion industry. Because think about it, you don't have to have as many brick and mortar abortion clinics. So you're not having to pay the lease. You don't have to have staff. You don't have to have multiple abortionists. In some states, they have to fly abortionists around because there's not enough people who get off on ripping body parts apart. Shocker. And then you don't have to pay the third-party vendors, the disposal companies, to come and get rid of the dead baby pieces that you killed. Look at all the operating expenses that you've just eliminated if you're pushing the abortion pill. So this was like a goal of the abortion industry a long time ago. Clinton, shocker, brought it to America in the year 2000.
Right.
That's when it hit. That's when the RU486 abortion pill started being used. But RU486 actually stands for Roussel Uclof. And people don't really know the history about this. Some of it's really shocking and hard to even follow because there's a lot of dark money, and like the board of the groups that have brought it to America, and they transferred the licenses from the Population Council to a group on American soil. And the Population Council was like the eugenics, like depopulate the earth kind of people. It's really hard to follow because they hide a lot of the names and it's hard to know who's behind it. But the bottom line is Bill Clinton approved it for killing American babies in the year 2000. But Roussel Uclof was a French pharmaceutical company that had created the abortion pill with a French endocrinologist named Etienne Emile Bilieu. That's where it gets started. But Roussel Uclof, the group, again, the French pharmaceutical company that created the abortion pill, their majority shareholder is Hoechst AG, Hoescht. Hoechst AG, it's a German chemical company.
Yep.
In 1916, which is really strange because that's the same year that Margaret Sanger opens the first Planned Parenthood clinic. So strange.
Weird.
In 1916, Hoechst AG, the majority shareholder of the group that invented the abortion pill, they co-founded another German chemical company known as IG Farben.
Yep.
IG Farben later became infamous for creating a cyanide gas known as Zyklon B. Zyklon B was the gas used to poison Jews and other Nazi undesirables in Nazi death camps. So Hoechst AG simply shifted from creating poison to murder Nazi undesirables and Jews to creating poison to murder babies. It's the same company.
Right.
So that's a little bit of like the history behind the abortion pill. And what most people don't know, because the abortion industry and the media have been so good at lying about this, the abortion pill is 4 times more dangerous for the aborting mother, again, just for her body, than surgical abortions. They were saying that this is safer. But when you look at other countries, particularly in Europe, where they have more socialized medicine, which we don't want here, but it gives you better grasp on the data because the government has all the data. It actually shows the opposite of what the American liberal class and leftists have been saying here. The abortion pill, if you really care about women's health, then you should be telling them this is 4 times more dangerous for you than if we were to shove a vacuum catheter suction tube or forceps up your uterus.
Right.
Like that's how. So the abortion pill, even for the left or the sort of the libs who are like, well, I'm personally pro-life, but people should be able to kill their babies. People should be able to decide. It's like, well, why don't you tell them then? If you don't care, give a rat's butt about the baby, but you just care about the mothers, why don't you tell them that this is 4 times more dangerous for them, and no one's sharing that information?
Yeah.
So we see it on the state level. We do see some states fighting back. In Texas, obviously, we're trying to swing at them. We also have gotten some flack from our Republican friends that we are actually expecting more from the White House, and we're expecting more from the president. And so whenever you think about the abortion pills, I mean, where should we be putting? Obviously, it's kind of like, yes, we have to fight on all fronts.
Right.
But what do you say to those that are, kind of like, all right, how do we fight abortion pills? What is your advice to a state, advice to Christians?
Yeah, totally. Well, I like a lot of what you guys have been doing. And I think we absolutely should go after manufacturers who are creating the abortion pill. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I mean, because here's the thing. States like Texas, abortion's pretty much illegal.
Yeah.
And yet people are breaking Texas state law by sending in the abortion pill.
Right. Yep.
So from a statecraft position, why would we not go after those people?
Right.
Great, let's do it. However, it's never enough for me.
Yeah.
I always want more.
Exactly.
And we just need to start playing offense as unapologetically as the other side does. Okay. Because dominion is inevitable, and we can do a whole podcast on that. People just need to realize, when you pull back from the public square, and I mean really showing up and fighting and voting and canvassing and door knocking and making your voice heard. When you pull away from the fight, guess what? We don't enter a libertarian live and let live utopia. And we had some people walk up and out of the Texas Youth Summit when I said libertarianism needs to go and die. I got booed and people walked out. But dominion is inevitable. We just have to realize this.
Right.
So we have to realize that darkness, and we're talking about demonic principalities, right?
Yeah.
Wants to wipe out everything.
Yeah.
But particularly when it's coming against the imago Dei, the image of God.
Yeah.
Because image bearers are a reminder to that ancient foe, that serpent, that there is a day on the calendar, that he will be thrown into the lake of fire, that he's the already defeated foe who will one day be cast down into a pit that never ends. And so in the meantime, what is our enemy's status quo? What is our enemy's march? Chaos, heartbreak, death.
Right.
We have to realize that this is a spiritual battle. We need to treat it as such. And I see this on college campuses all the time because I'm always on college campuses. You know how many people are just like, well, but I mean, it's legal.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, oh, you're that dumb. You just assumed that because this thing's been legal for decades, well, it must be moral because surely America would never legalize something bad. And so like people are actually that dumb.
Right.
And so they actually have to pass
Never
laws
thought
that reflect moral truths to shape the moral conscience of the people.
Yeah.
So we're celebrating all of Texas Right to Life's wins. We're honoring the fight that you're in. We're showcasing you as a leader, but we're also saying, let's make Texas the beacon of life and hope and liberty. And that means like the Narnians in the last battle, further up and further in, baby.
Gonna go.
Yep.
Amen.
Awesome. Was that the answer you're looking for?
That was fantastic. Yeah. No, I think you kind of dodged the question of whether we want more out of the White House, which Texas Right to Life.
Oh yeah, so I rip Trump a new one every time he deserves it, and then when he does good things, I'm like one of his loudest
Exactly.
cheerleaders.
As we
Because
know.
I'm not a holden to the GOP, I'm a holden to the GOD.
There you go.
Okay. Now, obviously, the Democrat part, like Jesus is neither a Republican or a Democrat. Like Russell Moore's right, but Satan is definitely a registered Democrat. Like. For sure. And so I lost some big donors when I went after Kerry Lake and Trump last year. They were saying, remember when Arizona had their pre-Roe state law from the 1800s?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was technically, it was for a moment there being enforced.
Yep.
And then Trump comes out and Kerry Lake comes out and says, this goes too far.
Yeah.
We're going to take a look at that. This goes too far. Women need more time. Women need more time to do what? To kill their babies. That's what Trump is saying. And I'm like, shut your yapper.
Yeah.
Donald?
Yeah.
You celebrated the overturning of Roe, which means you're celebrating states getting to determine. And then when a state determined, you reprimanded them for it.
Yeah.
So I ripped him a new one. So again, just like the GOP should fear the evangelical vote, Trump should fear the evangelical vote.
Right.
But we don't wield that kind of power. We're the largest voting bloc in the country, and we're the most flatulent.
Yeah.
Voting bloc in the country. We actually wield the most power and we never throw it around.
So
we
that's the
never use
difficulty
it.
right now. If we said, the HHS, the White House, all of these, the DOJ, when it comes to the Comstock Act, they have all these tools that they could be using in the fight.
Yeah.
And we have been sending postcards. We have been informing all of our friends. We have been saying, yes, we're going to do as much as we can at a state, but we do hit a wall.
Sure.
Yep. And if
I would love to see him enforce the Comstock Act,
if we
anti-obscenity law.
some, the partnership in DC, think of what right now. So because we had just redistricting, we have a lot of great guys that are going up to DC, and we're talking to them and we're saying, let's talk about what you're going to do there, because in my mind, you're retiring.
Right.
Like you are leaving Texas. You are no longer want to
Right.
that, actually determine what we're doing. And so I'm like, what are we going to do there? And so we're hazing, but that is not welcome in a conversation of requiring, DC to take more of a stand against abortion pills. And so we're getting a study, we're getting a review, we're getting these little things. But if abortion pills are as much of a threat as you were saying, we need some boldness in DC.
What I can't stand though is when I see leaders come out and be like, the abortion pill harms women. It's just really damaging to our case and to our cause, because a lot of even some pro-life leaders are using their platform and organizations to tell the public that what we're really concerned about is what abortion pills do to women's health.
Right.
And it's just not helpful.
But I think it's mixing the rhetoric to the principle.
Right.
It's like, what will be received better if I do it this way, if I explain it this way? But you're right. You're giving up why we're in this fight in the first place.
Yeah. It would be like saying like my real problem with slavery is that banning it really hits the plantation owner hard. It's really messes with he's so dependent on that he might like start, just unraveling with depression, and, he might lose most of his finances. I mean, he might kill himself. He might become suicidal.
But
that would be such a weird way to say, like, argument to lead with why you're against slavery. And it's fundamentally the same.
Yeah.
So I don't like that, because I think we've done enough of that for the last 5 decades. Is we've told the public abortion's bad for women, or you hear that stupid phrase, women can do better than abortion. It's like, how about let's not kill babies because they're people,
We were at Youth Summit the other day, And I was like, I brought some books up on stage with me, and I was like, get off of Twitter and start reading.
Book. Yeah.
Like,
good. Like I had to leave Saturday morning, so I had your
I
talk.
was like, get off, like, so you, like, Charlie is amazing. Watching all these videos of Charlie's ministry and his arguments.
Right.
Reason he could do that is because he actually studied. He actually read books.
Right.
So
Yes.
what's your pitch for our friends to study, to read more, to understand history more? That's obviously, you've dedicated a documentary to this. You've dedicated books to this. What's kind of your pitch for our friends to prepare for these conversations in this fight?
Yeah, amen. I mean, it's attributed to Churchill. Those who forget their history are doomed to repeat it. This is everything that Wall Builders talks about. It's what David Barton's been trying to tell the church for decades. It's what my friend Bill Federer has been trying to tell the church for decades. It's what Glenn Beck has been, that warrior Mormon, has been trying to tell the church for decades. And I think people hear those kind of phrases and they go, yeah, that makes sense. I guess we should know our history. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. But most people don't actually then go do the hard work of reading, of being, a man of books,
Right.
To be able to identify when history is starting to rhyme again, be able to counter and rebuff lies, because you're like, wait, I've heard that before. I've seen that before. Chesterton has this great line. He says, the disadvantage of men not knowing the past is that they don't know the present. He says, history is a hill or high point of vantage from which alone a man sees the town in which he lives and the age in which he is living. Think about that. That's profound. History is a hill or high point, and only from that hill of history do you begin to see the town you live in,
right,
and the age in which you're living. If you don't know history, you don't know how to live now. You're not able to identify the significance of the moment you're living in now.
Right.
We don't study the past in order to nitpick and debate every little aspect of what happened then. We study the past so that we understand today better.
Right.
And we know how to live.
Yeah.
Human nature has not changed since Eden. It's the same old stories over and over again in different eras.
Right.
And sure, like, that's why they say history doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes. There's always different contexts that have changed with civilization, with advancements and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like, wow, I've seen that before.
Right.
This is very similar. And so that's why I'm such a history buff, is because once you start looking into the heritage of the church, the mantle of Christian resistance, the battles that the saints of the past fought, you're like, oh, wait a second, this has all been done before. And so who was successful? Who were the heroes of the faith that were successful in pushing out the darkness and laying the foundations for renewal and reformation in my day?
Right.
Let's go do what they did.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
let's
and
do it
you
faithfully.
highlighted, you obviously diagnose where we are, but then you highlight good examples.
Yeah.
Basil and these are guys that were fighting against death and the culture of death in their real time. And I think it's extremely powerful, because you do see this is just a different verse, right, of the same.
And by the way, the left will sometimes do things and say things it's almost like a demon that's like trying to mock the church. Like, I'm doing it again, you idiots. That's how I think about it sometimes. Like, here's an example. There was an abortion mill in Portland. It's actually I think it's the abortion mill that Randy Alcorn was arrested out of years ago.
Oh, really?
When I don't know if you know that story, but this demonic court case, and basically for standing on a public sidewalk and sidewalk counseling, he was going to have to give a certain percentage of his income to Planned Parenthood for the rest of his life if he made over minimum wage. So he decided to make minimum wage, give all of his book earnings away to give no money to Planned Parenthood. But that abortion mill he was out of was called the Peace, Joy, Love abortion mill. And they changed their name a few years ago to Lilith.
Yeah, we have a group here called Lilith.
Yeah, there's an abortion fund called the Lilith Fund.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, in Jewish folklore, Lilith was like supposedly Adam's other wife, but but basically she was like this demon that would go, what's this? Prey on pregnant women to cause miscarriages. Why would you, as an abortion mill, say, you know what we're going to call ourselves? Yeah, we're an ancient pagan demon that causes abortions.
Yep.
Like, and I have other examples, but like every once in a while, the demonic aspect of what we're fighting almost rears its head.
Yeah, right.
And I just picture a demon through them being like, we're demons. We named ourselves that. Now, what are you going to do about it, church?
Exactly.
The reason they murdered Charlie is not because he was a good communicator, although he was. They martyred him because he was effective and he was a threat to evil. And it's about time that the church asks itself, are we a threat to evil today?
Amen. Seth, thank you. And we're very honored to partner. You have some of your team here in Texas, and we've been happy to see them in the Capitol, happy to work with them. We're excited about your message tonight and for your ministry. So thank you for the time. Thank you for the encouragement. And we know it's continuing to encourage our friends to be bolder in their pro-life work and in their apologetics and to prepare for the fight. I mean, this is something that we are called to. And you are a strong voice of, we got to take this seriously. And there are so many Christians that are not. And we appreciate it.
And if you want to host a screening of my film so that your church will support Texas Right to Life and get in the fight, go to the1916project.com, the1916project.com. You can buy the book, but any church can host a screening. And it'll be streaming on Daily Wire in October.
Awesome. Seth, thank you so much. I'm excited for tonight and what you're going to say. These are the things we can say on YouTube. So it's probably going to get a little hotter tonight in the room, and I appreciate that. The 1916 Project, if you're going to look it up, 1916 Project, not to be confused with the other one with the digits in a different order, that is a waste of toner and wood. You can get it in all the major online platforms. You can get this. I would love to see you have an audiobook of this. I'm just saying. I'm an audiobook guy.
I was so busy. Yeah, it'll be my voice. We're working on it.
Nice. Awesome. Because I spend a lot of time in the car and commuting, and I love my audiobooks. So, but I am getting through this. I'm enjoying this. This is a great run through history of how we got where we're at, and you should read it. Guys, put down Twitter, read a book. Thanks for watching, friends. That is your assignment, your takeaway. Like, subscribe, put down Twitter, read a book, and we'll see you next time.